Good evening and welcome to Emerson Institute at City of Light. I'm Reverend Dr. Paul Gretz, and I welcome you to tonight's class on the basic principles of science of the mind by Frederick Bales. This is class number 3. We're glad that you're here, and I just want to begin by asking, how are you doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. My thoughts are with you wherever you are. If you're joining us through our live streaming or through our YouTube channel, City of Light Atlanta, just wanted to connect with you personally and let you know that I'm thinking about you. And I want you to know that you're in my thoughts and prayers. And I'm hoping that you're having a great day already. Well, welcome, and let's begin by preparing ourselves for tonight's class session. Let's do so by taking some deep breaths. Several people have noted that I begin classes with this exercise and said, you know what? I've been trying this at home. I've been pausing and taking some deep cleansing breaths, and I found it just really is transformational in my life. It sort of resets me. It allows me to release old distractions and helps me to be more focused and in the moment. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So we invite you to join us as we take 3 deep breaths. We're going to breathe in through our nose, hold for a moment, and then exhale through our mouth and just force it out. Just push out all the tension and stress out and allow all that fresh oxygen to just flood into your body, into your brain, into your very being, just renewing and restoring you after this maybe challenging day that you may have had, or just refreshing you and renewing you for something even better that God has in store for you tonight. So let's breathe together. Breathe in and release. Deep breath in and release. Nice deep breath in now. And release. And in a moment of silence, set your intention for that which you desire to transpire in your life during this time that we share together. And so it is. Wonderful. Class number 3, why man's mind is creative. Now in lessons 1, 2, and 3, we've learned some things, and I just want to review for a short, brief moment some of the things that we've already beginning to grasp and understand. We have learned that there's an understanding of the power of thought, that thoughts are creative. That as a man thinks, so he is. And that's the power of creative thinking that goes on every single day in your life. Do you realize that you think thoughts, thousands of thoughts every day that are going through your mind? Each one of these thoughts has a creative power in it. Now, some you can entertain, and others it's probably best you don't entertain. You just let them fly by. And you don't dwell on them. You don't just allow them to be recycled through your day-to-day consciousness. So what we want to do is retain these thoughts that are creative and creative in a direction towards that which we desire of the perfect life that we're holding in mind. We looked at specific suggestions as to how to improve the quality of one's thoughts. Now let's go deeper than this as we understand the metaphysical aspect of the science of the mind. Let's understand the difference between surface mind and deeper mind, just as a brief review. Because we can improve the quality of our individual thoughts by just allowing us to be open to the all good. Allowing our thoughts to focus on, I know that no matter what I'm going through, there is something powerful, something good, something for my best is now unfolding within my life. It's amazing how beautiful that thought can shape and mold your very day. So we really want to ask you to really think about how we can have a quality of thought, a really great thoughts going through our minds at all times. That really is helpful if you have a mantra or an affirmation that maybe you've chosen for the day. Print it out, write it out, and place it on your refrigerator or a mirror or someplace where you might see it throughout the day, or hold it in your pocket, whatever it may be, and take it out and look at the 3x5 card that you've written down this affirmation, that it really helps you improve the quality of your day-to-day thought life. Now, we talked briefly about the surface mind and the deeper mind. The surface mind being the conscious mind, which selects and initiates So all these thoughts that are coming through on a day-to-day basis, they're on the surface level. And you can actually select which ones you want to entertain and really hold in, and others like, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to dismiss that. And the thoughts that you hold on begin to launch something. They go deeper into the deeper mind, which is the subconscious mind, which is filled with all of our habits of thinking. And the deeper mind, or the subconscious mind, will obey the surface mind. So we have these two levels, surface mind and deeper mind. Now, when you grasp this, you're going to have a sense of the authority when you speak your word or you do a treatment. You're really going to understand that the power of your word is there, and it is a creative force. So when you really understand that, you understand that everything you say goes forth into the universe, and it will come back to you. It's going to return back to you in some shape or form, and it's going to be manifesting and bringing about. So when we grasp this, we no longer wonder whether results will follow. We know they will because we're speaking the creative word. Thoughts are creative, and when we give voice to those thoughts, that force goes out into the world to initiate and to bring back to us exactly that which we so desire and have expressed. So there's a lot of people who set their mantra for the day. Today is going to be a great day. And they hold on to that thought. And that thought unfolds for them in a creative manner that brings about or manifests or initiates that great day that they've already claimed. So it is that when we do prayer treatment, when we pray for one another, when we pray for a situation, when we treat a doubt and a fear, we know that the word that we're speaking is a manifesting word. And it is the word that we're speaking out loud is going out into this universe, and the universe is responding. For God knows the desires of our heart before we even ask, and is ready and eager in the spirit of generosity to unfold for, well, God's children, you and I. And that's just the beautiful thought of the generosity of God and the care and the compassion of that divine source. Now, there is one creative process in the universe, and if we use the same process, this method, we can bring it to bring something good into our lives, help it unfold. This one creative process in the universe. And that creative process is thought. It is speaking and giving voice to the thought. You know, we find this in the book of Genesis chapter 1. Let there be light. God spoke the word, and the creative force brought about an incredible manifestation. So we see the creation story being the story of your life, my life, our life, everybody's life. That as we speak the creative word, the thoughts that we're thinking, they are a creative force. Because everything in life is energy. Even matter is energy. And even thought is energy. Author, teacher Thomas Troward writes of originating intelligence. In the beginning, there was only God and nothing, since at that time there was no material universe. The energy that caused the universe to be formed could only have been an energy. That which is really causing everything to take place, to shape, to mold, to transform, is a powerful energy. And the only known form of energy that does not arrive out of matter is thought. So the divine, the infinite wisdom, that which we call God, began to contemplate. And as God began to think or contemplate, that contemplation became a creative power or creative energy. Now, there were no people in existence, so that thought must have been that of the infinite thinker being God. So we know that the universe was created on this powerful energy, the energy of thought. And that gives us a beautiful example. If the worlds around us, if the universe that we live in was brought into being through creative thought, then that which is touching your portion of the small world that you live in, of your small community, of that which you may call your circle or family or community, is impacted by this same creative thought, creative power. We have a question coming in, I think, from Dr. David Carter.
So those words that you speak with authority, are you experience an immediate manifestation? Those words you speak with authority,
yes,
right at that moment.
You know, and it is the power and intensity of which you speak or think these words. You know, there's a lot of, I want to say soft thoughts that we have. Thoughts that come through and then, we just kind of fleeting things. We're not really. Then there's this thought with force and belief and intensity behind it that says, I know this to be true. And that kind of thought and that voice that we give is full of the divine energy that is creative, that brings about, begins to launch already, initiate already that which God has prepared for our lives and start ushering it into our lives. I believe that things come quickly to those who have an intense energy of believing, and those who do not have or have not developed this intensified energy of belief. For those, it comes a little slower. It draws, and we begin to build our faith muscle, shall we say, by believing for things maybe small and exercising them. And we build up that level of powerful faith that intensifies, that we just speak the word of knowing. And we just know it's happening. It's being drawn to us. Of course, when we say, does it come to us immediately? What is immediate in God's time? It's like it's happening, and it may come through channels. It's being launched. It's being drawn to us. Do we receive it instantaneously? Not always. It's coming through those channels, but it's already being drawn to you, and it's manifesting.
But the stronger your conviction,
the greater the attraction. I'm going to say it's like an attractive power, the law of attraction. And I believe that the great energy that you put into believing, the energy of faith, is going to be a brighter beacon to attract and draw to you that which you are desiring in your life. When there is just such intense belief that you can say, I know that I know that I know, and I live in that knowing, and I walk in that knowing. And I live as if to that level. It's that kind of faith that really helps to bring things about. I think we look at the creation story, and I don't believe that it was that the infinite thinker that we call God was by any means kind of like, let there be light. If it happens, okay. If it doesn't. There was this authority that we read of, the description of the creative process. Let there be light. Let it, allow it right now. And I think the key thing is I like these words, let there be, which really speak to us about allowing. Quite often we desire something, but we're not actually allowing it. And to allow something to the full extent is to just embrace the gratitude that it's already there, to live as if as it is already there, to not cloud over your proclamation with any kind of secondary thoughts, doubts, and fears. The full essence of allowing. Let there be. I release all distraction. I release all obstacles or blockage in the pathway. And as I do, I'm letting it all come together. Now, did light happen like that? Or did that ignite an evolutionary process that took millions of years? In God's eyes, there is not the time level that we have. So we don't know. Of course, we weren't there. And God doesn't look at time the same way we look at time. So our whole challenge in life is, light appeared. How long did it take? I don't know, but it took the right amount of time. Everything happens in the right and perfect timing. And we allow that. That gives us the sense of just rest. I know that which I proclaim is already here, and it's coming in full manifestation to me. It is unfolding in my physical world for me as I hold in faith, believing the energy, the faith, that's just attracting it and drawing it to me. It's already there in spirit, because I believe in the spiritual realm, everything that we desire is already there. So prosperity, blessing, health, wholeness, complete. Everything that we desire is already there for us. We just have to do the work of allowing it with no obstacles, and in that sense of patience, allowing that which we have proclaimed and claimed, thought in the creative process, allow it to unfold. And because it's coming to manifest into the physical world. Now, it's coming from the spiritual realm, the realm of infinite possibilities, into the realm of limitation. And as it transfers into that realm, I believe that's where the energy of faith helps it manifest. It's already out there, but it's going to manifest for us in our actions and our living as if in all ways. How's that? Does that help answer your question? Great question. Thank you for asking. Appreciate that. If you have questions at all through the class time, please type them in. We always appreciate your input, your comments. They're always appreciated. Dr. David Carter will be following Facebook and watching for any comments that you type in and helping me to get them and share them with me so I can respond. We can have that dialogue. That's what we desire, that we can feel a little bit more in a sense of community with one another during this class time. Now, the creative process in the universe and the individual is what we want to talk about, because this is how God brought the universe into being. That God is spirit, and spirit is the origination of all intelligence. Let's break this down. It is the first cause. It made the choice. It said, let there be light. God is first cause. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. When we say cause, for every effect, there is a cause. And God is that cause. Your creative thinking is cause. It is that which launches and brings about. So first cause made a choice. And just the same for each and every one of us. We are the power of causation. It is the divine within us that enables us to cause something to bring about an effect. But we've got to make a choice. What is it you want? So many people in life don't even know what they want. They haven't taken time to really think, what do I really want in life? Have I really sat down and sort of journaled, written out, maybe made a list? Not necessarily material things, but what do you want out of this life? Fulfillment, love, peace, contentment, security, success. What is it you want? And so this is why it's really important that we, as the thinker, knows what to think in the right direction, and to help us to move in the direction of that which we really desire, and not just spend the day daydreaming and just letting thoughts come and go into our minds, but using our day and our thought life, using our mind to create the highest and best. Now that thought moves into mind, which is obedient to the spirit and is universal, and the universal subconsciousness. Your thought moves into this universal mind of which we are part of, this universal intelligence, this universal consciousness. We are part of it. And our thought moves into this. And the knower, that deeper subconscious, becomes the builder, and it creates and manifests in form. And what happens is the body is the effect or the outcome. And it is always acted on by mind, and this is the visible universe. So let's just hopefully grasp this to the full extent that our thoughts are so powerful because we are one with the infinite mind. There is no separation. We are one with it. We're one with all of God. And God, the infinite thinker. God, the wisdom of the ages. God, the infinite intelligence. We're one with that. And our thought moves into that realm of the divine, that divine power that is all powerful, all knowing, and ever present within our lives. Now, in the same process that we find in the creation story, man brings his world of experience into being. And we make choices in our surface mind, in the conscious thinking. We can make choices on a deeper day-to-day basis. And the deeper mind, the subconscious mind, then acts on what you believe, what you've chosen, the thoughts that you think, and it creates the effect. So that creative power is this deeper mind within you, this subconscious. It is the womb. And what the surface mind is that which is the thoughts you select penetrate into the womb. And from the womb gives birth to that which you've been thinking and believing, and begins to bring about form within our lives. Manifestation, effect. So let's just use a day-to-day example. You wake up in the morning and you say, I believe I'm a success. Today will be a successful day. You claim that as your mantra, and those thoughts are permeating your inner subconscious mind. You're believing that you're success in everything you're doing. So as you go about your day-to-day business, I'm successful in driving to work. I'm successful at getting to work on time. I'm successful in everything that I need to do in my job. I'm successful in my relationships. I'm successful in dialogue with the people around me. I'm successful in all things. And that spirit, that thought, that creative power that you now placed into your subconscious mind now begins to bring about, and you act and live from this subconscious place. And you find yourself now exuding a sense of confidence that makes you successful. You find yourself walking into rooms and to environments with great comfort and sense of assurance that everything is working together beautifully today, because today is my day of great success. And I am successful in every single thing that I do. Today in particular, I had a whole list of things to do. And added to my list was one that was going to eat up the greater portion of the day. It began by trying to reach out to the hospital and get someone to answer the phone. I laugh about it because quite often you'll call and you'll get on hold and you listen to this on hold music for a good hour waiting for someone, and an operator picks up and says, let me connect you, and I'll connect you to someone that puts you on hold. And it seemed like, okay, this is a long drawn out process because I needed to fill a prescription for my partner, Robert. And I had already called this prescription in on Friday, and they said, well, we'll let you know when it's ready, and we're not hearing it ready, and it's Tuesday. So I'm starting this process, and I just began to claim, you know what? I'm not going to dread this process. I'm not going to feel like this is an intrusion on the schedule of my day. I'm believing all things are working together for good. I placed the call, and instantly someone picked up, and I was like, wow. And I said, I'm so glad that you've picked up, and my attitude, my spirit was so appreciative. That person became very responsive to the energy that I was putting out of appreciation for their assistance. They quickly responded. They fulfilled the prescription. They said, you can pick it up. Please come down before 4 o'clock. I said, I'll be in the car in 5 minutes. And we jumped into the car, drove down there, and I thought, okay, traffic, and is this going to be a long drawn up? And you know what? It was clear sailing. We were traveling at a time when it seemed like around noon, when everybody was at lunch. The highway was free. We got in there, pulled up front, and I initially thought, oh, this is going to be quite difficult. Securing this, parking, and all this kind of, no, I release everything is happening in success. Lo and behold, the whole thing transpired in a matter of just a few minutes. We picked up everything we needed and headed home. On the way home, I was just filled with such gratitude that I had put the power of creative thinking into place. And rather than dreading the experience and letting it cause me to worry and fret and really maybe bring about that which I was dreading, I just began to believe it was a moment of great success and everything was moving smoothly. And in that confidence, in that attitude, I changed myself And consequently, everyone that responded to the change that was happening within me responded in a way that we created an effect that was just beautiful. Everything working into synchronicity and in harmony and in unity to accomplish the goal very quickly. All right, we got another comment coming in.
From Hashi Rumu.
Hashi Rumu.
Love and peace is very important in life with security, but success is also needed. We can live in general. Maybe everyone cannot achieve success, but love and peace is most needed with harmony.
Beautiful comment. Thank you very much. Love and peace, really, that is success. Because success is not just money or monetary things, but successful living is really feeling love, being loved, loving others, being at perfect peace within your heart and your life, no matter what the circumstances may be. And that truly is a great success in our life. Thanks for that comment. Hope you're doing well, Hashi Rumu. Hope you're doing great, and you know that you're in my thoughts and prayers. Let's now look at a little bit more on this dialogue, because man is in the small of what God is in the large. Let's just talk about that for a moment. Man is made in the image and the likeness of the infinite. And in that, man has the power to create his own world. Man is therefore spirit, mind, and body. Spirit meaning surface mind, the many thoughts that come to us, having choice, having the power to choose how our day will be and what our day will be like. Mind being the deeper mind, the subconscious, and it merely accepts what the surface mind is thinking, and you begin to act from that. And body being the effect, because it is that which is the thoughts and the subconscious are manifesting or bringing about that works within your physical body. So if your thoughts are, I'm sick, I'm ill, I'll never be healed, I'm always going to be having problems, that's what the deeper mind will manifest in the body. Man selects a goal in his surface mind and then initiates it in the action, in the deeper mind, releasing it to the deeper mind, which obeys the decree and acts upon the body to bring it about in form. You know, your subconscious is filled with all the day-to-day thoughts that you've been thinking, and it becomes the container, though, and I use that word, the womb, of that which has been penetrated into the deeper mind. So it is from that womb that gives birth, that creates all these things. And it'd be amazing how much you do in a day-to-day basis, how you react and how you move in this world based on your subconscious mind, the deeper mind. Because every judgment that you're making instantly, snap judgments, every thought is based on all the thoughts that you've been putting into the subconscious now are coming forth. And so every response that you may have to a particular situation or scenario is going to be based on the kind of thinking that you've been doing over the past portions of your life. So if you've had a lot of negative thoughts, doubts, and fears that you've welcomed into your life, you have placed them into the womb, into the deeper mind, the subconscious. And from that place, they're birthing out. So you're wondering why you are moving through this world always suspicious and fear-based and always thinking the worst. And you wonder, where's this coming from? Why am I acting that way? Why am I responding to life's challenges from this perspective? It's because what we've fed into the subconscious is now being acted upon and bringing out in form. So we understand this sort of trinity of spirit, inspiration, this guiding thought, and source, acting on it, what you believe, and manifestation. So we may look at that trinity that we find spoken of even in Christianity, of Holy Spirit, the Father, and the Son. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Father being the source, the Son being the manifestation, the Holy Spirit being that guiding thought. So we see how the Trinity illustrates how we live on a day-to-day basis. We live with our thoughts being imparted into our subconscious, which then we find this beautiful source, the divine power, God, acting on what we believe, and the manifestation in being that which we experience in the physical world, being likened unto the Son. Jesus, the Son, being the manifestation of the Father. And so we find this metaphysical understanding behind that which has been presented to us in religious teaching. That how we live in our life, we live each and every day by the power of our thinking and the thoughts that we place into our subconscious mind, because that's what's manifesting in the physical world. Now, the creation story in Genesis is really describing this creative cycle. Spirit is selecting and initiating the movement by let there be, and mind is obeying and going into action and applying it as the know-how. And there was light. Now note, science of mind does not depart from the Bible, but it reinterprets it in the light of modern language. So we don't abandon the scriptures. We study the scriptures to find the metaphysical interpretation, that which is beyond the physical, the spiritual. We seek out the spiritual versus the literal as we look through each one of these writings of the ancient texts. Now, millions of people believe that it is the will of God that they should endure illness, and that's not true. God's will is for you to prosper. It says that in Scripture, that the desire for prosperity is God's for your life. And many people still believe, I think God intended me to be poor or unhappy or ill. They resign themselves to it because they do not know that they can select a better life and move into it. They can release themselves from fear-based thinking. Stop creating a world that you don't want. Stop thinking negatively. Stop entertaining negative, fear-based thoughts that are filled with worry and anxiety. Shift your thinking, change your thinking, and you will change your world. Change your thinking to success, prosperity, peace, love. Change your thinking to health and wholeness. And change your thinking to welcoming and allowing the all good to come into your life. Now, every thought has two sides, positive and negative. The surface mind was always going to select those, must always, I'm going to say, select those positive thoughts. It doesn't always, but it should. The surface mind must always select positive thoughts because the deeper mind is the seat of emotions, the seat of feelings. The deeper mind depends on the surface mind to protect it from error thinking. So you've got work to do. Protect your subconscious from doubt, fear, anxiety, worry. Protect it by selecting constantly positive, affirming thoughts. Thoughts that say, God is making a way when there seems to be no way. Thoughts like, I know that my highest and best is unfolding for me even now. Welcome these kind of positive thoughts. Allow them to sink deep into your subconscious to begin to respond in life automatically from the positive energy that you've placed within. One constructive thought is more powerful than 10,000 destructive thoughts because a constructive thought is in line with the things of God, the originating intelligence, and therefore it has a very powerful force. Dr. David Carter is bringing a comment to us.
A comment from Rebecca Gretz. She says, wow, I needed this today.
Excellent. Great to hear you tuning in with us. Becky, that's my niece. Very proud of you. Thanks for joining us tonight for this class. I'm glad that you're with us. Because think those positive thoughts and you will shape a new way for your life and living. Great. Another comment?
I have a question.
Dr. David Carter has a question.
So you made the comment that the deeper mind depends on the surface mind to protect it from error thinking.
Right.
Because whatever you put into the deeper mind, it's impersonal. It's going to do whatever you put into it.
Yeah.
It's going to bring that into manifestation.
That's right.
So
yes, that's why we have to protect the subconscious. Because, as an example in our day-to-day life, maybe, you see someone who is of a different race than you. And suddenly you respond with a racial energy. And you wonder, where did this come from? Why do I respond to this man who is different than me wearing a hoodie? Why do I think he's out to get me? Why do I think fear-based thoughts? Why do I reach over and lock my door or speed up my car to get out of the neighborhood or get away from them? Why is this subconscious reaction? It's because we fed the subconscious with thoughts that are filled with negativity, feeling that we're separate from someone who's different than us and that they're not as human as we are, or that they're different in some capacity. Those are racist thoughts that we have entertained and we have allowed to dwell into our life and slip into our subconscious. And so they respond, we act out subconsciously from those perspectives. Yes.
So if you don't carefully tend to your surface mind, then the race consciousness, whatever's going on in the consciousness of your culture, that's what you will put into your subconscious.
That's correct.
If it's full of negativity, then that's...
And that's why we have to do some house cleaning of our thoughts. We have been taught fear, negativity, racism. We've really been taught how to worry. We've been taught how to fear at great lengths. And so when we do a little house cleaning, we kind of remove those things. We clean out those thoughts, pull them out of the subconscious and release them, but place new thoughts in that are positive and powerful and uplifting. So we're sort of releasing the fear and putting in a thought to replace, to fill that vacuum that we've just created with an affirming, powerful thought. I can do this. Take out the I can't do this, or take out the I'm a failure, or take out the this isn't working for me, or it's not going to be possible. Take out all those negative, fear-based, worry, stressed kind of thoughts. Remove them out, release them, and fill that void now with I can do this. This is possible. I am capable. I can do this. I just ordered a new workout bench with leg extension and the barbell to work out, creating my own gym in my garage. It came unassembled. It came with the most crazy directions. And I looked at it and go, I don't know if I can put this together. Maybe I need to hire someone to come in. Wait. I can do this. I released the thought that says I can't. I can put this together myself. I began to study the instructions, and even though they were kind of crazy and convoluted, I began to think, well, I see this picture and this goes there and this would make sense to, and I began to assemble this. Well, in the process, I made one choice wrong and I used a really long bolt in a place where it needed a small bolt instead. And I later on in the assembly, I needed that really long bolt and I didn't have it. I thought, now what do? I'm stuck. Wait a minute. I'm smart. I can figure this out. I can go to the hardware store and find a bolt just like what I need, and I will put it in where it needs to be in place. I went to the hardware store, got my bolt. I took my instructions with him. And I said, here's the picture. I'm looking for a bolt that looks just like this. Got the bolt, and I laid the instructions down, and I left. And when I got back home, I go, I don't have the instructions. Now how am I going to do this? I got the bolt, but I don't have the instructions. What am I going to do? Oh, now wait a minute. I can figure this out. I'm going back to the store where I bought this, and I'll ask them, could I see a manual from one of the other brand new benches that you have? Could I just, If I have to purchase it, I'll purchase it, get the manual out, and I'll take a picture of all the pages of the instructions, and I can, take it home, and I'll figure out how to put it together again. And if I need to, I'll return the thing. And I went to the store and explained it to the salesman. He goes, don't worry, I can download this for you really quickly, pull it out from the manufacturer. Great. So he printed out a manual for me. I went home and I completed the whole task. I looked back and thought, you know how many thoughts I had that said you can't do this because I believed growing up that I wouldn't be good at assembling this, or I thought I couldn't. So I was going to abandon the project. But when I changed my thinking and began to think, you know what, I can do this, no matter what roadblock came, and I was very grateful, actually, for all the different roadblocks that came, because it gave me a chance to exercise. You know what, think positively. You can do this. And when I did that, I shifted all the energy around it, and I accomplished the goal. And it looks great. Come see my gym. Steve.
So essentially, you should always start off with the premise, with every problem, there's a solution.
Yes, exactly. Start with the belief that for every problem, there is a solution. That's a great comment, Steve. That really explains exactly the kind of creative thinking that we need to have in place. No matter what you're facing in life, just begin to realize God already has the solution waiting for you. You just have to say, let there be. Let there be the solution. Let there be light. I allow it. I allow this, and I know that it will all fall together beautifully. And I'm just a perfect example. Change your thinking, and you change your world. Let's go on to our next chapter. It says, why man's mind is creative, and it's the continued session. Now, just as the body of the infinite, that which we call God, is the entire manifest universe, so the body of man is the entire work, home, and family. Now, what we find is the physical body is forever played by the images of our thoughts. So this body is going to be impacted by the thoughts that we think. You think you're sick. You think you can't. You think you're weak. You think you don't have the strength. That's crazy, because how many people we have stories of saying, in a moment of challenge, a car accident, they reached out and in great strength, they lifted the car up. Like, wow, I didn't know I could do it. Well, they didn't have time to think. They didn't have time to think, I can't lift this car. They just went and did it. And as they did it with such energy and force that they could lift the car up to get a dead body or a body out before a fire happened or something, greater injury to the passenger in the car. We find so many stories like this. The body, your physical body, is impacted by your thoughts. What are you thinking? Are you thinking you can't? Are you thinking you're fat? America's thinking they're fat. And so, you know what? We just resign to it and we become people who live out a more gluttonous life. And the body responds. So the body moves because the mind tells it to. And it can do nothing of its own. So the thoughts that you're thinking are impacting the very body, and it's moving in accordance with the very thoughts and your beliefs, everything that you hold in mind. Thought is the molder of the body. Thought takes what you give it. The body cannot decide to remain ill when the surface mind decides it's going to be well. Science is ever marveling over the spirituality of healing, where people have just began to believe with such intensity in their well-being. And healing unfolds in some beautiful ways in their life. Healing comes in all different shapes and forms. But they begin to believe and speak to their body of wholeness and wellness and health and strength, and allowing that subconscious, those thoughts go into the subconscious and the body to respond from that perspective. Now, the body is acted upon by something other than itself, the self man's brain. It's the cells cells are filled with intelligence, and they accept the thought patterns of the person of whom they are a part of. Inside every cell, science tells us, there is an intelligence. It knows how to reproduce. A cell replaces itself. A cell can fight off infections. It has a level of intelligence within it, and it's responding to the thought energy that you are radiating. So as we radiate health and wholeness in our thoughts, the fact that I believe I am living in great peace, and I am living in a sense of calm. I am not stressed, worried, frightened, or fearful. The body is responding to that perfect peace, and everything within the body is now falling into synchronicity and into unity and harmony. So, to the mind, there are no incurable illnesses. And I really want us to explore this, because I do believe that the mind has the power to initiate the healing in thoughts, the creative thought energy, to bring about change within the body. Now, I was just visiting with someone who is also working out in their gym and at home. And due to COVID-19, they're not going to any kind of health clubs. So they are working out at home, and they said, I've set up all these visuals of a healthy whole body. And they are my day-to-day visuals that I look at and go, I have this body. Now he said, I don't have it completely, but I know it's there within me. And as I claim it and my thoughts are, I begin to live from that perspective. And the person said, what's changed for me is my choices of food are changing immensely, because I'm saying I have this body. I have a very trim waist with lots of abs. And because of that, I am realizing I want to treat those abs well. And I'm eating differently, and I'm making wise choices. And the very visual is putting thoughts into my brain, and my brain is thinking this, and my body is now responding. And actually, I'm losing weight. I'm working out. I'm becoming more fit. I am, getting in better shape. So it's a great testimony to the fact that, as we think, so we are. And as we put together this creative power of thought, the body responds to the energy thoughts that you are giving out. Your story becomes your biology. Your biography, the story you keep telling, becomes your biology. It shapes your very physical being. There are so many people who just want to give up. And their story is, oh, I'm in such pain. I just can't do it. It's so painful. It's so impossible. It's not going to happen for me. And their body's responding to that surrender to the pain and this sense of I welcome, because my story is over and over again, I'm living in pain. And as we shift our story to I am living in health and wholeness, the body is responding in a whole new way. And it is responding to the new biography that you're writing, the new story that you're telling, and the biology is changing. I want you to know that God never lays sickness upon anyone. That's not God's intention. A lot of people are, God brought this on me to punish me or whatever. Man brings this sickness upon ourselves. So, and he can get rid of it as soon as he's willing to deal with it intelligently. We have been conditioned to believe that some things are incurable, but the deeper mind has the capacity, if we'll lay down the foundation of belief, if we really believe in the power of your believing. There are thousands of stories of people who have had incredible healings, transformations within their body because of the power of their believing. They have truly been enabled to just live from a different perspective of a wholeness. Now, I'll share with you that about 26 years ago, I was diagnosed as HIV positive. And of course, at that time, there weren't all the medications and treatments that there are out today. So the first response was, oh dear, so many of my friends, people I've known who have received the virus, they're HIV positive, they're dying. And for many people who had that diagnosis at that time and era, they began to just say, I'm dying, so I'm giving up, I'm quitting, and surrendering to it. But I just began to believe all things are working together for good. And no matter what's transpiring within my body, I am going to live my life in health and wholeness. I have never had one day of complication from being HIV positive. I have always lived with a very high health rate of viral loads and a low viral load and very high healthy rates of everything that they look in diagnosis for a normal human being because of the attitude. Along came the medications and the protease inhibitors that supplemented. I am living on, and so many people who thought 26 years ago or so when this happened, they passed away. They gave up. They quit. But I kept telling the body, there's health and wholeness. There is well-being to be lived out. And I plan on living. And that biography changed the biology. I'm just going to speak to this healing, shall I say, within my physical being. Today, I'm undetectable. You might say that they can't find the virus within me. It's present, but they can't find the virus there because it's always been undetectable. And I live with great success and good health. Now, that's the story, and the story I keep telling, and the story I keep affirming. And that biography is impacting my biology, my body. So what we must have is a healing consciousness, the consciousness of good, of seeing the good, for God is the all good. Having a consciousness of beauty, of thinking and seeing beauty within the body, and possibilities unlimited, and loving yourself, no matter what you're going through. Do you love your body? Have you really loved your body? Love the temple that this very soul dwells in. Love it. And allow that love just to nurture it into harmony and complete connection and unity with all components within the body itself. Now, as we look into talking about a prayer treatment, we use the word treatment as we refer to prayers that people request because, why do we request prayer? Because I'm afraid, I'm doubting, I'm fearful. If you weren't doubting and you weren't fearful and you weren't questioning and you didn't have anxiety and worry, would you ask for prayer? No, because you'd be living in confidence that all things are working together for good. But it's because you're concerned, you're worrying, you're a little bit fearful, you're apprehensive, you're asking for someone to pray. And what do we do in prayer? But we treat that fear. We treat that doubt. We treat that anxiety. We declare the truth about ourselves or about the other person that we're praying for, believing that it is true, that this very truth will set that person free. So we don't pray treating fear and doubt by saying, oh Lord, if it's possible, would you heal? If you're too busy, it's okay. It may not happen. Healing may not be there. All that doubt and questioning. But instead we treat with an affirming word that says, I see my beloved friend healed. I see you well. In the spiritual realm, I see you successful. And I speak to that fear, renouncing it and replacing it with an affirmative. Steve has a question.
For some, doubt is insurmountable. How do you deal with that? How do you deal? Because you can say, okay, I got these doubts, but I want to get rid of them. But they won't go away. What do you do?
Well, I do believe they will go away if you're willing to let them go away. Some people have just become so comfortable with doubts and fear that it's their story, and they don't want to change their story. And they're like, I've just been so fearful all my life. I wouldn't know what to be, or who would I be if I don't have this fear? Because it's who I am. And they may say, I am Susie Jones, and I'm a fear-based person. And I've always been fear-based, and I always will be fear-based because I'm not willing to change my story. So it is a big transformation that someone must be willing to undergo as they begin to release doubts and fears and move into realms of confidence. And it doesn't happen overnight because we have to release, we have to take out the fear from the subconscious, cleanse it out, create a vacuum as we remove it, and replace it with affirming things. And one of the problems is a lot of people aren't willing to replace their fear with an affirming thought, a positive thought, because they're afraid of everything. And all they've allowed in their life, is fear. My former father-in-law was a fear-based person. And every time it rained, wake up everybody in the house, pull the beds away from the windows because certainly lightning is going to come through the window and strike you. And so 2 o'clock in the morning, if it was raining, everybody had to get up, get away from the windows as far as you can because lightning is going to come and strike you through the window. Like, really? I've slept thousands of nights of sleep, shall we say, and not worried about rain or lightning coming through the window. But he was convinced that. He was so convinced that someone would throw a hairdryer in the bathtub. So we would not allow an electric outlet in the bathtub or in the bathroom. So you could never plug in an electric appliance. Instead, what happened is his kids would run an extension cord from an outlet somewhere else so they could blow dry their hair in the bathroom. And it still happened no matter, but his fear was, I just know someone's going to throw a blow dryer in the bathtub while they're taking a bath. Really? You think that? But he believed that. And it was a difficult thing for him to let go of these beliefs. His wife and kids would constantly say, come on, Dad, can't we have an electric outlet in the bathroom so we can at least plug in a electric razor, or a blow dryer, or electric toothbrush, or any of these kind of things? Nope, because someone's going to throw an electric appliance in the water. Like, okay, but that was his belief. So he was unwilling to let go of that belief all of his years of his life, and he died with that belief held in his mind. So, some people just, they're fear-based because of certain circumstances. They've heard the story and they've told the story over and over again into their subconscious that it's so deeply rooted down that they've got to go down there and get it out and release it and replace it with something different. And how do we do that? We do that by starting telling the affirming good, the positive stories in our life to say, well, I visited someone else's home, and I saw an electric outlet in their bathroom, and they've been successfully living for 15 years in that house, and no one has thrown an electric blow dryer running in the bathtub while they're taking a bath. So maybe if it works for them, I might look at that. And I also this friend and that friend and this person, I realize people are putting, contractors are building homes, and they're putting outlets in bathrooms. Well, maybe people can live safely with an electric outlet in the bathroom. So you got to start shifting your thoughts by looking at what the change is, affirming the change, seeing the change, claiming the change, and knowing that the change is there. But if you're not willing to do that, then you'll always hang on to your fears. David, what's your
question from Rebecca?
Rebecca.
How do you know that when you are praying to God sincerely, God knows you are sincere?
How do we know that when we're praying to God sincerely, that God knows we are sincere? Oh, because God knows the intentions of our heart. So even before we're asking, God is the infinite knower, the infinite energy of knowing. God knows everything. That is what this whole universe is made of, for there's not a spot where God is not. And God, that intelligent, knows when you are sincere and when you're not. Because the sincere prayer of great faith is one that says, I believe. So if you're praying for something with great sincerity, you're believing for something very powerful, to happen. And you're living as if. And that's if you're really sincere, you live your prayer and you live the answer to your prayer. Let's just say you're praying for a job and you want to be very sincere. So you say, I'm going to live as if I have that job. That means I'm going to prepare my resume. I'm going to put out my interview outfits. I'm going to practice for my interview. I'm going to be aggressively stepping out, knowing that that job is there for me. My prayer is sincere and my belief is sincere, and it matches with the divine intention of God because God wants you to prosper. That is very clear throughout the Bible. Look at there's a beautiful passage in Jeremiah that says, "My plans for you, saith the Lord, are for you to prosper, for you to be successful." And successful is successful in all ways. Successful in love, relationships, successful with family, successful in having great peace and joy in your life. So as you are sincere, you live the answer. You live the answer. And you live as if. And that answer then begins to unfold for you. I told you earlier that, I began to live as if I was healthy and whole, even though I was just diagnosed with HIV, being HIV positive. And yet I've lived some 26 years and doing very well health-wise. Doctors are just really pleased with the latest report, and so am I. But because that's the power of my believing in the sincerity, I live as if I am well. Hope that answers your question. I'm glad that you're with us, Becky. All right, let's move on. Let's look at this purpose of prayer treatment. Prayers that treat your doubts. It's to heal any kind of false belief that you may have. Because too often we go to God pleading, begging, and when we're pleading, we're saying, I don't really believe, so I need to plead and beg because I don't really believe. And that would be, pleading and begging is not a sincere prayer. Because a sincere prayer says, I already know God knows. And I already know God knows what I need before I even ask. And so I already live as if the prayer is answered even now. Steve, what's your question?
So can we say then that if you're praying for something, it's essential that you believe it. But if you see yourself pleading and begging, then that's evidence that the belief is not there. That's right. Clearly evidence that because belief is just not there.
Exactly, because what is the energy of pleading? It's the energy that says, God, I think you're withholding something from me, so I'm begging. Please, God, do this for me, please, because I believe you're withholding it from me. And here's the thing. God withholds nothing from you because God is generous. Everything within the scriptures is telling you, speaking to you of the generosity of the universe, the generosity of God. Everything around you is speaking of generosity. The air that has been given to you, the oxygen that is given to you so freely is just one testimony of the generosity of God saying, I have provided oxygen for you. Breathe. Breathe all you want. Breathe more. Breathe and let it go because there's plenty. This is the kind of God that we love and serve. And so when we are pleading and begging, we're thinking that somehow God is withholding something. So we need to manipulate and we bargain. Oh God, if you would just do this, I promise I'll give you my firstborn. I promise I'll live for you forever. I promise I'll go to church. Oh, that's a good one though. I promise I'll be a missionary to China or whatever. People do all these kind of bargaining things. That's pleading. That's begging. That's, in a sense, you just do it because you believe God is withholding something from you. But when we realize that God withholds nothing from you, then you just begin to speak your declaration. I proclaim. I declare. God is at work right now. And the answer is there. Everything is working together for my good, even now, right now. And it's beginning to unfold for me. It's beginning like a rose to bloom and blossom right now. I claim that. That's not pleading. That's actually treating your false beliefs. Because when we treat to destroy a false belief, here's one thing. You cannot return to it because it's been replaced with a thought. if you've really done the work. So if your false belief is God is withholding, and you replace it with the belief that God is withholding nothing and all things are mine, Jesus said, all that the Father has is mine. And Jesus is our great example of teaching to us that everything that God has for you is yours. It's yours. It's yours to claim. It's yours to experience. God wants you to live the highest and best. Why do we think that God would say, I created you, I brought you to this moment in life. I love to see you suffer. I want to see you have a difficult life. I want to see you have some, what kind of loving God? Because God is love. Love is what God is. God is not loving. God is love. And that love wants your highest and best. So when we take out a false belief of I can't, it's not possible, or whatever, and we replace it with a belief that says it is possible. All things are working together for good. What happens is we've treated it to this level, it cannot return because we have placed in a foundation into the subconscious mind of such great belief that it is so. So remember, our life is an expression of our deepest beliefs. So if you want to look at your life and where you are right now, it's going to be a great reflection of all of your deep beliefs. Have you believed yourself to be a failure? Did you believe yourself to be not good enough? Did you believe yourself to be unlovable? Did you believe yourself to be poor? Did you believe yourself that you were meant to be sick? You see, all these things. It's the power of our believing. It's the power of our believing that has shaped our lives. Let's make some changes in the thoughts that we are thinking and the beliefs that we're creating. Change your thinking and you change your world. I'm so glad that you've joined us tonight for this class on the basic principles of science of the mind. I'm glad that you've joined us for this study, and I hope you'll join us for the next few weeks ahead. Every Tuesday night at 7 p.m., we're going to be talking more as we continue on through the chapters of this great book. If you're looking for the book, you can order it on Amazon.com, Basic Principles of Science of Mind by Frederick Bales. You can study along. Now, if you'd also like to receive the notes for each class, they can be sent to you via email. If you just reach out to me on my email address, revtpaul@aol.com. And our registrar, Dr. David Carter, will make sure that notes are sent to you prior to every class setting. We want to keep you informed, and we want you to have a vibrant and rich life in this time of study together. I'm so glad that you joined us. It was lots of fun tonight to have you with us, and I so appreciate you just offering your comments, your questions. And now as we close, I ask everybody, what's the thing that you're taking away from tonight's study? What really sticks with you? What's your takeaway? So I'd love to hear from you. What's really spoke to you in this study, in our session tonight? What are you going to kind of put away in your spiritual Tupperware and kind of look the leftovers that you'll kind of chew on and gnaw on in the days ahead? What really spoke to you? So while we're waiting for you to put your takeaway in, just type it in. Let us know what your response is. I'm going to go to those who are here in our class setting and ask those to offer their comments. What's your takeaway? Let's talk with Steve. What's your takeaway, Steve?
Well, there was a lot of good stuff tonight. It seems like that if you're not practicing awareness of your thoughts, and I mean not just your abstract thoughts, but your feelings, if you're not practicing awareness, you're practicing unawareness. Or I guess I could say, if you're not practicing being conscious of your thoughts and feelings, then you're practicing unconsciously your thoughts and feelings. And
right.
if you're living, because a lot of us do this, we live through life very unconsciously.
Yep.
And if we do that in a weird way, we're kind of digging our own hole, so to speak. Because when you were talking about your former father-in-law, I believe,
right.
about the guy with the plugs in the bathroom
right.
and stuff like that, that he took really something that was really a healthy fear, because you're right, you got to be careful with electrical appliances near water and stuff like that. But because he just lived it and went by it so unconsciously, it just kept, building up like biofeedback, just kind of build it up, build it up, build it up to where it was to a point where he developed a neurosis. And now it became, instead of a healthy fear, it became a very dysfunctional fear, a phobia.
Right.
And one thing I learned, because I took some psychology classes at college a while back, and they basically said if you're not willing to face, the patient, if they're not willing to face their problem, if they don't even acknowledge they have a problem, they can't be cured.
Right.
Because they're so unwilling to look at it.
Right.
Or I guess you could say become conscious and aware of it.
Right. Exactly.
So really, I mean, I think tonight was a very good night in going into a lot of these issues.
Right. In that line of thinking, I grew up so differently than my former father-in-law and mother-in-law. So my family went camping on vacations. I mean, they would set up a tent, go to a state park, put out sleeping bags. My mother would cook dinner on the campfire. We'd enjoy going to bed, sleeping out under the stars or in a tent, and, lived sort of fearlessly about camping. And I can remember first time I suggested camping to my father-in-law and mother-in-law, I was like, whoa, absolutely not. And I said, I want to take my son camping. We don't think that's a good idea at all. There's bears, there's deer, there's all kinds of things out there. There's critters out there. They'll get you, you're going to just be in a tent. There's nothing secure. There's no fortress around you, I thought, wow, I never thought about those things. I had never entertained those fears, So that just was didn't even cross my mind. So when I went camping, I camped fearlessly. I camped with great confidence. And that confidence, I think, is what created an energy of just being comfortable and certainly, respectful of the environment, all those things. But their fear, you know what? They never went camping in their life because fear. Mm-hmm. They were always terrified. Their idea of camping was, let's check into a motel. And that's the best we can do. Yeah. We would never sleep outside in a tent. And what? Let me tell you, you miss out on a lot of good stuff when you sleep outside, when you can't get a chance to do that. Sleeping under the stars is pretty amazing. Yep, great. But an example of where we are different thinking, and we realize we've got to acknowledge that kind of thought, fear-based thinking. Mm-hmm. And until we acknowledge it, we can't get it out. Yeah. Do you realize that is fear-based? And wow, our culture is so full of fear-based thinking. Okay, Dr. David Carter, what's your takeaway?
That it's important to do the house cleaning of my subconscious.
Yeah.
Removing all of the fear and doubt and replacing it with powerful, affirming thoughts.
And as we do this house cleaning and we're taking fear thoughts out, we're cleaning out thoughts of worry, anxiety, and stress and all this kind of stuff, we're cleaning them out. We got to keep doing that because our world wants to put some back in. So you got to make sure that when you take something out, you fill it with the affirming positive thought, because when you remove something, you create a vacuum or a void, and that void will be filled with something eventually, and either another negative thought will come in, or you've got to do the work of filling it with a positive thought. Are there other takeaways?
Yeah, I got a lot of them.
Oh, good.
Okay, from Ty Thornton.
Ty, great.
Stop creating a world you don't want. You don't want. Change your thinking to what you want in this world.
Great. Stop creating the world you don't want. That's it in a nutshell. Yes, great.
Okay, Holly Hill.
Holly.
If you desire something and it does not come right away, it can be tempting to think you are not worthy of this thing. It's important to not entertain this thought and remember that all things happen at the right and perfect time.
Beautiful. Excellent takeaway.
Okay. And meditation allows me time to love every cell in my body. I am healthy.
Beautiful. Every cell. Love every cell. That's great.
Okay. And your niece, Rebecca.
Rebecca?
I see it over this.
You want to click that?
The power of the mind. Yeah, click that off the back. I'm having trouble trying to read it on top of it. I love how you are transparent And then she says, I really love transparency with your life, and I am your niece.
Yes. And I love you. Thank you, Becky.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to seeing you on Thanksgiving. All right, great. I'm so glad that you all joined us tonight for this class session. And I look forward to seeing you again next week, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. You can also join us on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. on this Facebook page or at our YouTube channel, City of Light Atlanta. God bless you. I know you're going to have a great week. Because why? We're starting to think, I'm having a great week. And as we change our thinking, we change our world, we change our environment. So I'm already starting for you. You are having a great week. Amen. And we're going to look forward to you telling us all the stories of how goodness is unfolding in your life. God bless you. You have a great evening, and I'll talk to you soon.